Hello and welcome back to the Macca's Talk Hockey Podcast, a podcast where me and my brother and Dan talk about English ice hockey, specifically the NIHL. I thought I'd add Dan in there because you're on every week and we never put you in the intro. So I may as well add you in the intro now. But yeah, week 4 of the NIHL has finished. 10 games are done. And every team now has points on the board, which we'll go into. But yeah, Charlie, Dan, how are you doing? We took the trip up to Guildford, didn't we, on Sunday?
Hmm.
I'm all good.
Yeah, it's not changed, does it, Dan? I said to you as soon as we got there, the layout's the same, the songs are the same, the woman who does the speaking is the same, like the intro songs are the same. The only thing
The
different is
drummer's the same.
the
The
drummer's the
jersey's the
same.
same.
Um, the only thing that's different is the team and that they're playing in the Elite League and they've got about four Brits. So that's the only difference. It was a decent little game. Cardiff got the win 3-2. They scored with 36 seconds, which was a bit of a dagger. And it was a too many men penalty for Guildford as well. So that's a bit of a sucker punch. But it's nice to go back to the Spectrum. Haven't been there since the EPL days.
I
But
prefer the National League.
yeah, I'll be
It's
honest.
so
We
much
do
more
we
entertaining.
do prefer the National League. There was a really good goal in there. Like the skill level you can see is so much higher, but you're going to get that with imports. But we do prefer the National League, and we're going to go into it now. The only news I've really got, shout out if you've got any more, but Mackenzie played his first game for the Phantoms. And it sounds like he had a really good game. Obviously, we'll talk about it when we go into it. But yeah, Zane McKenzie, obviously signed with Coventry, at the start of the season. He was getting scratched in quite a few games, and it looks like Slava, with quite a few injuries in the team, has decided to take him on. And Zane's obviously come to the agreement, and he's played the game for Peterborough. And it'll be interesting to see whether he stays on, Dan. But he's never really properly found his home at a team in the National League. But Charlie said to me yesterday, if there's a coach to really find his feet under, it is Slava, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah, 100%. I don't know. It's just he's never really, like you say, he's never really like sort of got comfortable in a team.
Yeah.
Like he's sort of been moving around quite a lot, and he's obviously managed to get that elite league contract as well. So there must be something there that we're just not seeing. That some people are. So, but yeah, like Charlie said, obviously being on the Slava, he will probably try and get the best out of him, and it'll be interesting to see what he's like in Peterborough if he does carry on staying there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
good depth piece to
He had
have.
a,
Like,
he had a fight against his old team as well, which I thought
exactly.
was funny.
Like his
But that's
first
a way
game.
to. I like that though. Like he
Yeah,
wanted to make a statement in the derby, and he was the guy to drop the gloves. I can imagine when he went back in the dressing room, he had all the respect. He'd earned his respect in the dressing room. It was like, I'm a Phantoms player tonight, and flipping dropping. There is other news, by the way.
what's the other news, Charlie? Go on, because I've.
Brindley Caps
Oh
played for
yeah,
the Romford Raiders on Sunday. So Coventry, obviously trying to get some of their younger players. Who Brindley Caps has been in the lineup every game. He's ranging between 4 to maybe 8 minutes a night. For the Coventry Blaze, he had a really good preseason with Blaze as well. But yeah, he got the opportunity to get some top end ice time for Raiders, and I think that's a great way to do it. We saw it with Connor Lee last year at Telford. I think it's a great way. He's not getting sat on the bench and getting 0 minutes of ice time, but at the same time, it's always good to get loads of ice time. And so he played for Raiders. I think he played with Laceram and Sean Miller, which isn't a bad line to come into in our league. But yeah, he's obviously got a game, and Coventry letting some of their younger players get some ice time in the National League.
I don't think Coventry had a game on Sunday, so that's why I think he played for Romford, and there's only going to be one team he went back to if he needed a little two-way. And yeah, if Romford can get in for the whole season, we said that they're kind of missing that just one top six player. Well, Brindley Caps will fit straight onto that. So be interesting to see how many games he does play because I think Coventry will have first dibs on him. As you said, he's been playing quite a bit on those top lines for Coventry. Oh, and welcome back. I actually forgot to intro this when we filmed yesterday, but we've got a special guest on this episode. Charlie, do you want to introduce him?
Yes, we'd like to welcome on a young, skillful Canadian import who's taken the trip to England. He started off the season hot, scoring 10 goals in his first 8 games, but he's recently been the man of the match performance in the derby. We'd like to welcome on Cameron Hough. How are you doing,
Thank,
man?
Thank you very much for having me, guys, or for having me. It's been good so far. Definitely a change. It's my first time being to England. The closest I've been was Ireland last year at the end of the season. I took a trip there.
Oh, nice.
Little similarities, but still quite a bit different. But yeah, everything's been great so far. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so just to clarify to everyone, it's pronounced Huff, isn't it? Not
Yes,
Hugh.
it is hot. Yes.
So from now on, we'll make sure we say it right. So yeah, how have you found it? Obviously in Peterborough, we know Peterborough's not like it's, what was your reactions coming to Peterborough?
You cut out there a little bit. Sorry, I didn't hear the.
I was going to say, what is your reaction coming? What was your initial reaction coming to Peterborough? Because it's quite a new kind of yes, it's a unique stadium. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, when I was talking with Slava at the start, he obviously first thing he brought up was the rink is quite old. And then I was actually chatting with my dad. So my dad used to be a goaltender in Canada. He only played up till about the senior hockey level, but I was talking with him about it when I first heard from Slava, and he said, yeah, that he actually played in Peterborough. He came
Really?
over with a Canadian like kind of all-star team sort of thing, and they played a bunch of teams here in the UK. And the first thing he said to me was, "There's no way it's probably the same arena." And I go, "I'm pretty sure it's the same rink." Um, but yeah, so far, like obviously the rink is old. It's a really good setup though. Obviously the seating's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Other than the wood boards, the ice gets chewed up pretty quickly, but the fan base has been really good since I've been here too. As for the city, I haven't done too much around here. I'm loves to golf and stuff like that, but other than that, I've seen a city center and been around town. From what I've heard from people, I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be, but.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it's a funny joke for when people come over to Peterborough. It's quite a unique rink, and you seem to have settled in it quite well actually so far.
Yeah, yeah, it's been great. I mean, the rink is a little smaller than some other rinks, I think. Obviously, I think for us it's a big home ice advantage because we get
Yeah.
to practice there. Obviously, it's tough for other teams to come in and play. Obviously, there's some spots in the boards too where the puck will you have no clue where it's gonna bounce. So yeah, it's definitely took a bit of getting used to when I first got here, but I think I'm starting to settle in now.
It's all part of the fun. Go on, Charlie.
Yeah, I find your kind of road to pro hockey quite interesting because you didn't take the normal route a Canadian does once you finish the OHL, but we
Mhm.
probably will bring up the OHL because you played with some superstars there and you played in the one of the top junior leagues. How was that for you?
Yeah, it was really good. Obviously, you have some top NHL guys. Guys that are known and I guess known in the NHL now, kind of like Jason Robertson when I played in Kingston and Jordan Cairo and Sarnia. So obviously, you play with guys like that, and at junior league, obviously stepping in, I ended up playing. I was lucky to play my first junior year there when I was turning 16. So it was definitely a shock kind of moving away from home early. It was only about 4 hours away, which wasn't too bad. So my family still got to visit. Yeah, but it's a really high skilled league. Obviously, you have a lot of guys that move on to AHL, East Coast, NHL from there. And then obviously there's the U Sport route as well. But yeah, it was definitely a unique experience and it was great to play.
Mhm.
Do you like notice straight away like yeah, Jason Robertson he is like a step above everyone else.
Oh yeah, for sure. Even like Jordan Cairo too. I remember that was my first year in Sarnia. I was there with him and I remember we did a bag skate at camp and everybody slowly kept getting slower and slower and he ended up miles ahead of everybody. Like it was kind of crazy to watch. But yeah, there are certain guys you just see it's kind of like mind blowing. Like how can they see that kind of vision on the ice?
And
Mhm.
Charlie mentioned you played quite a few leagues. Obviously, you did one season. Well, I wouldn't say it was a full season in the U Sports. Do you want to talk through like the process after you finished in the OHL?
Yeah, so after I was done my junior year, I was kind of looking honestly because when you play in the OHL, they give out a school package that you get. So I had all 4 years of university paid for. So obviously I was looking to go play U Sports while continuing my education. Unfortunately for me, the my last year of junior was kind of the COVID year, and obviously
Yeah.
stepping into U Sports after was also COVID. So we got news around, I want to say December or so, that it didn't look like the league was going to continue in U Sports, and uh, I ended up going to ECHL camp before I went to school, and told them I wanted to go to school, but if anything changes, I'll let them know. And when U Sports kind of put out the message that they didn't know if things were going to go forward, the coach from Wheeling in the ECHL called me and asked me if I wanted to come. So I ended up making the move there. I found that I can continue my school. There's a university in Alberta in Canada that does online university. So I was able to continue to get my school paid for and go through university while being able to play at the pro level. So obviously playing in the East Coast, there's a lot more games. Sometimes you have four
Yeah.
games in 5 days. So trying to juggle that was tough, but yeah, I don't know. COVID kind of messed things up there. So I don't know. Maybe if COVID hadn't happened, I might have stayed there for longer. But
Yeah.
obviously, I love hockey. I wanted to play hockey. And if I could continue my school while still playing, that ended up being the option that I took.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had some classic names in that team, which many fans around the league will know. There's Matt Barron, Nermit Mullin, and then Matthew Gomesick as well.
Yeah.
Who have played in our league. Are you good mates with them lads? Do you know them guys?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're definitely good friends. I talked to Matt actually a little bit before I came over here, just kind of talking about it, and he said that I'm gonna have a fun time while I'm here. Yeah, obviously playing with Matty Barron and Noah McMullen as well. I know they're both in Leeds. I haven't had the
Yeah.
chance to play Leeds yet, so I will see them soon. But yeah, they're both, or all three of them are all great guys.
I believe you
Yeah.
know Britnell as well, Jake.
Yeah.
Obviously you got to play him the other week. He did score, but you also scored as well. It must be quite fun battling against some of your pals.
Oh yeah, for sure. I actually know quite a few people in the league, surprisingly, like import wise. But yeah, I saw Jake when we played Swindon there. He came up to me and said hello during warm up. So yeah, definitely nice to see familiar faces.
He
Mhm.
loves a chirp, doesn't he?
Oh yeah.
And at age 22, you actually went away from home and you went down to France, to the France Second League. How did that move come about? And you were very young for an import to go down there. Um, how did it come about?
Yeah, I was just kind of so the start of the season I was at Wichita camp and things didn't work out there the way I wanted them to. So I always kind of wanted to try to get over to Europe at some point. And yeah, I just kind of got a call midway through my season asking if I'm interested to go. And I talked with my family and thought, I don't know how many chances I might have to go to Europe, so I might as well get my foot in the door over here and then see where it kind of takes me from there. Obviously, kind of being like in the ECHL level, there's chances you could go up, there's chances you could go down, there's chances you could
Yeah.
stay in the same league for 9 years trying to, obviously fulfill that NHL dream eventually. But I kind of took it as it's a way to kind of travel the world and
Yeah.
the game I love. So I thought it was a good opportunity.
How did you find the French league? Because there's been a few imports from our league who's played in that French league, and it seems like it's fairly competitive.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the big difference between there and here, like, yeah, and even some of the guys on the team here asked me about it. Obviously, there you're allowed seven imports. So
Yeah.
compared to here, we just have three. So yeah, I mean, the league it's a bit different because it goes from having, say a team has a forward D and a goalie, whereas there you can have maybe a full line of imports, a full D pair of imports, and then have a goalie as well. So being there, the league was good though. The only thing was it's not a lot of games. I think that the whole season's about 28,
Yeah.
which is a shorter. And by the time I got there, I only ended up playing 13. I think I went just before New Year in December. So, but
Mhm.
I had a great time. The guys were really good. Being from Canada, I speak a bit of French, but even their French is a little different from Canadian French. So it was a bit tricky, but over time I kind of got the hang of things.
Yeah, man. You were hot in France. You had 12 goals, 13 games. Was it fun to go back into that point scoring role again?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like I've always kind of been more of a goal scorer than a playmaker,
Yeah,
and
we were going to mention
obviously,
that.
yeah, since I've been here, like obviously my roommate here as well is Yanni Lekkonen, so he's we made a good connection quick, and obviously he's more known for playmaking. Every time I'm on the ice, if he has the puck, he somehow finds me, so he's made my job super easy.
We'll get on to Yanni in a bit. But do you want to talk us through how your move to Peterborough come about? I know you mentioned it a bit at the start, but we spoke to Slava in the off season. He was on the podcast. We spoke to him for like over an hour and a half, 2 hours. What a guy. So how did that come about? Obviously, them winning the playoffs last year, I can imagine that was quite a big pull as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just kind of throughout the summer, I was just kind of looking. Just I don't know. After France, it was good. I was just kind of seeing, like, leaving my options open,
Yeah.
seeing what was out there. And then Slava called me, and we had a really good conversation. Obviously, like you said, with the team winning last year, is definitely a big draw to come here. Um, yeah, but just the other thing too, I played with Hayden Levine as well,
Oh
in
yeah, I
Wheeling
saw that.
actually in the East Coast. So he reached out as well and said that uh, it's a good spot, and obviously having a familiar face to come to is really good too. So yeah, we just kind of had I want to say maybe 3 or 4 phone calls, and everything he was mentioning kind of had me sold from the start, and it seemed like a good fit for me and my family. So. It
Yeah,
was good.
that's good.
Mhm.
Go on, Charlie.
And you came into the league. You played pre-season versus Romford, and was there anyone else, or was it just a one
Oh,
game pre-season for you?
Telford,
Romford.
Telford.
yeah.
Yeah.
How was pre-season? What was it like when you first kind of started? Was there like something massively different about the English league you noticed?
I found like our first game against Romford, we lost 6-3, I think. And then our second one, we played Romford at home and we
Yeah.
won 6-0. The big thing I find here is, like, in all honesty, I feel like home ice is a lot bigger of an
Yeah,
advantage than a lot of
absolutely.
other places I've been. Um, Same thing with Telford. I mean, we got the win there, but it always seems tougher to play on the road than it does at home. And I think crowds are a big part of that too. Especially with the Derby game this
Oh,
past weekend, the crowd was the most insane I've seen it so far, which was awesome. But yeah, preseason kind of just getting into things at the start. It's obviously a new league, new faces, new teammates, new everything. So just kind of getting my feet settled and trying to get ready for the regular season.
what were your expectations coming in? Because were you shocked at the amount of fans that come to English hockey? Because it's not really a big sport in our country, but you've got some really committed fans, and you've got Peterborough fans who've been watching for 15, 20 years.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, so my perspective on it is back home in Canada, we have more fans, but
Yeah,
here there's less fans, but they're more into it.
it's their life. Yeah,
It's insane. It's like obviously like football for you guys. You guys have like flags flying around. You got the horns going. Whereas when you play hockey in Canada, yeah, there's a lot of fans there, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's like you don't have the drums in the stands. You don't have the
yeah,
flags in the stands, all that stuff. So yeah, especially being in like it's a bit smaller of a rink than I'm used to playing in, but when it's packed, it's the atmosphere is unbelievable. It's
yeah.
loud, it's exciting, and yeah, I mean, I figured it would be like that here. It was kind of like that in France as well last year, but yeah, there are quite a few hockey fans here. It did surprise me a little bit.
Obviously, you've come over. You've probably been put with not a bad two players to play with starting the season. Luke Ferrara obviously dropped down from the Elite League last season. He's one of the best players in this league. And Yanni Lakkonen, who you mentioned as well, how he's still going at his age, and he doesn't put a foot wrong, really, does he?
No, yeah, playing with both of them so far, it's obviously made my job easy. Farrar and Yanni have been great with me. Obviously, when they kind of talk to me, they treat me like the young guy on the line because they're both obviously a bit older than I am. So, yeah, obviously playing with both of them, it's been great so far. Took us, I think, maybe I don't know, a game to start clicking, and then things kind of just took off from there. Obviously we are missing Luke last weekend, which I mean we still got the 4 points,
Yeah,
which is unbelievable effort from everybody. So yeah, obviously with them it's a lot easier, but yeah, this past weekend was really good. Yeah, I mean we had I'm gonna say 5 or 6 guys out of the lineup
yeah,
and we're still able to take 4 points, which is a big confidence boost for us.
yeah.
Mhm.
Go on, Charlie.
We'll quickly talk about this weekend because it was a big kind of a bit more weight on your shoulders this weekend as one of the import guys. I think you had 3 or 4 forwards out. How did it feel being the guy who did step up because you stepped up throughout the weekend?
Yeah, for sure. It's always good to obviously put up points, but at the same time, like obviously wins are more important right now, especially with the cup games and the weekends too. Um, yeah, I felt like it feels good, obviously, to get a hat trick the second night and us to win that game. But I mean, it's not always just me. Like Levine had an unbelievable night
Yeah,
as
he
well
did.
in that game. Some huge saves, some 2-on-1s and short breakaways there. And especially like guys that we had called up, like just defensive wise, kind of shutting them down and not letting them get a ton of chances. So it was a full team effort, obviously both games on the weekend and take 4 points and have some momentum hopefully going into next weekend.
Have you ever played in like a derby kind of game of that? Because Peterborough and MK have always had this massive rivalry over the years. I think MK sold out that whole away block. It looked packed there, and then obviously Peterborough sold out their bit as well. How did it feel playing in that game? Because we were actually at Peterborough when you guys beat us against Swindon, and I can
Okay.
imagine it was probably even well much more louder than that.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. I mean, as soon as like we went out for warm-ups, the fans were super loud and I kind of looked around. I didn't see many seats open for the
Yeah.
game. So yeah, it was a cool experience. I didn't really find out. Like I saw the posts from our team on Facebook. I didn't really know what it meant. Asked a couple guys around the room on the Friday, and they're like, "Yeah, it's a rivalry. I think they're only about 50 miles or so away, so it's been going on." So, yeah, it was a cool experience. The fans were unbelievable, and I think kind of pushed us to give us that momentum to fight through and get the 2 points.
Mhm. And
Go on,
um, and
Charlie.
talk us through that third goal. Tell us what it was like. What was the feeling going on in your head when you got the hattie to get your team one up with 5 minutes to go?
Yeah, it was great. When I first shot the puck, like on the power play, I kind of got it at the top and cut around to the top of the circle and shot it low glove. One of their players bumped into me actually. I didn't know if it went in or not, and then I just heard the crowd kind of go crazy and figured it went in. But yeah, it was good. Right after that, we kind of turned into a mode of okay, we got 5 minutes left, just close it out. Especially with the short lineup too.
Yeah.
If we had back-to-back games kind of go to overtime and kind of run us down a bit.
My
There we go.
Wi-Fi just went.
Oh, there
It's
we
back
go.
on. It's
Okay.
back on.
But yeah, so you're looking forward in this season. You've obviously had a big weekend. Hopefully, you don't win on Saturday against Swindon. But if you didn't know, that's our team. But what's your kind of goals as a team? How are you feeling about the team? It's we said on the podcast, the episode which you're on, that there's a I think 3 point gap between seventh and first.
Mhm.
First right now in the league is competitive. The cup's competitive. What is the goal? How are you feeling about this very competitive league?
Yeah, so far, like every weekend, I kind of look at other scores around the league just to see kind of what went on, and it's been back and forth. Some teams you don't expect to win are winning, and like it's just kind of all over the place right now. Right now we're kind of trying to, obviously focus on the regular season, but focus on the cup games
Yeah.
too. Um, I think we have. I'm going to say Telford at home next weekend, and then I think
Because
Solway on the road the following weekend.
it's quite a weird layout, the cup. Because some even if you play a team for the first time, that might not be the actual cup game.
Exactly, like we beat MK at home 4-3, but we have to go to MK
I
for
know, yeah.
in a month or so. So yeah, it's somebody I think the guys were telling me it was a bit of a different layout last year. It was 20
It was
games
two.
instead of
It was
10.
one home, one away, so it's 20 games. I think.
Okay.
And
Oh,
this year it's only
man,
10.
the
Yeah.
cup's so confusing. It annoys me.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at the cup right now, it's all tight, and you have Paul, for example, who has only played 2 games but
Yeah.
have 2 wins. So, yeah, we'll see. We're obviously trying to focus on the cup games and see if we can get in. Obviously, want to get into the top four for that, and then uh, taking the regular season games with it as well, and trying to get as many points on the board as we can.
I know
Mhm.
you've only been here for, well, a couple months. How have you found playing under Slava? Because he's probably the best coach in the league. His knowledge on hockey is mental, and the amount of shocks he's done as a coach last year, obviously against Leeds. What's it like playing under him? Like the tactics behind everything.
Yeah, it's been great so far. Yeah, like you said, he's an unbelievable coach. We have always trying to improve on things, going over video, trying to get pre-scouts on other teams before the game so we can
Yeah.
kind of see the systems they play. Uh, Same with our practices have been really good. But yeah, if anything's ever going wrong, he's obviously always trying to find a solution to fix those problems. And even mid-game, if something's not going our way, he'll come in between the period and say, "This is the problem." He obviously wants input from some of the older guys like Ferrara as well, Norton, see what we can do, and all talk about it and figure things out. So yeah, it's been really good so far. It's been very welcoming too. Um, like very. I don't know how to put it. I've had some coaches where like obviously you can be scared to talk to them or have a conversation with them. He's very welcoming to everybody. Every time he comes in the room, he says hi, has a quick conversation with you. So it's more like a family than a coach player kind of relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came up to us before the game and said hello because we had an interview with him, and he just goes above and beyond with a lot of things.
Yeah.
Is there any player who particularly, I know you knew Hayden Leving, but was there any player who welcomed you into the dressing room who got you kind of well known?
Well, the first day I was there, obviously me and Yanni went together, living together, and everybody was there, came up to both of us, greeted us, asked us if we needed anything. Same with Slava, kind of showed us around the rink. Yeah, our equipment manager KK too was very welcoming. If we need
Mhm.
anything, just go talk to him. So yeah, showing up, everybody was welcoming. It was kind of like a quick friendship right away. I think after the first week, like everybody was talking with everybody. It's not like some teams you'll have certain groups of people that only talk to certain groups of people. Everybody's in on everything. Everybody's friendly. So it's been awesome so
I,
far.
I bet I bet Yanni has some stories to tell. We listed off before the season started the amount of countries and leagues he has played in. Has he gone through those with you and some stories from each of them? Because it's actually ridiculous his career path.
Oh yeah. So when I first came here, me and my fiance flew in, and Slava picked us up right at the airport, super welcoming, took us to the apartment, and then Yanni came. I want to say a little later in the evening, but same day, and obviously just meeting each other, we got to talking, and I kind of asked. I knew a bit about him before, just like
Yeah.
off the standing, kind of looked at him quick, and then I asked him. I said, "Yeah, so like, what countries have you played in?" He goes, "What countries haven't I played in?" I go, "Oh, geez," but yeah, I, he just started naming them off. I think he's around 13 or 14 different ones. So I kind of got perspectives on places he liked, different countries he's got to see or see pretty much all of Europe, I think, except for North America. I don't think he's been over there, but pretty much all around Europe and a bunch of teams. He's an interesting guy for sure. We have a really good friendship already. He's been great with me. But yeah, definitely the cool career path, obviously getting to kind of look up to somebody who has played in a bunch of top or second to top leagues all over Europe is pretty
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
And have you had any guys who have helped mentor you? Because you're still young. Obviously you've started off hot, but you've got the likes of Luke Ferrara, Yanni Lackinen, who've been in the game for a while now, who've played in
Tom
some of the top
Norton.
leagues.
Mhm.
Have you had any of them who have helped you?
Yeah, for sure. Especially playing on a line with with Ferrara and Yanni for the start of the season now. Both of them kind of obviously have been around the game for a while now. They've both taken me under their wing and just kind of give me pointers here or there. Yeah, they've both been great. Obviously, if I do anything wrong, they're not hard on me about it. They'll just say Yanni will make a joke and say, just give me the puck and I'll get you the puck back. Don't worry. Just things like that. Obviously, just kind of joke around with each other. But yeah, they've both been awesome to me so far.
The
Mhm.
one thing that stands out to me about Peterborough this season, the power play has been firing this season, and you've actually been quite a big part of that. Would you say your game is based around being that goal scorer, the guy who's going to get those big goals for the team?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, I want to be a playmaker when I can too, and
Yeah.
try and be a full, like well-rounded player. But yeah, for the most part, especially having Yanni just makes my job easy. Same with Luke. Both of them are kind of on the flanks, on the power play there, and I'm parked right in front. So any clean shots they don't have go in, I'm kind of there just to put the rebound in or stuff like that. So yeah, I mean my game seems to be built more around goal scoring, but yeah, anyway,
Your
can
two-way game's been impressive as well. That's what me and Charlie said. Like, it's good getting the goals, but you've been helping defensively as well, which is good.
yeah, for sure. I have also have experience playing defense as well. So
Yeah.
kind of playing that center role. If a D kind of, gets late getting back, I can take the man in the corner sort of thing. So yeah, it's been obviously playing centers a bit tougher because you're all the way down in the bottom of the offensive zone and you have to get all the way back to the bottom of the defensive zone. So definitely a lot of skating, but yeah, it's been good so far.
Mhm.
Has there been any teams or players who've shocked you when playing against different teams? Because you've got all sorts of different players in this league, and there's a lot of talented Brits in this league, some talented youngsters.
Yeah, for sure. I was honestly my first game, I think playing against the Bees, their import goalie really
Oh,
shocked me. He,
he
he had
saved
an
49
unbelievable.
out of 50 against Leeds this weekend.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable so far. I know a couple other players around the league, like Nick Price, for example. I played with
Oh
him
yeah,
as well. I thought he had a really good game against us when we
he's
played
hotting
them
up as well
last week.
now.
Yeah. Other guys I know in the league would be maybe know Devin Skoleski as well
Yeah,
on Alford. So yeah, quite a few people actually.
basically every new
It's
import.
a
Yeah,
friend tour for him. You go around the league, you're like, hello, mate, hello, mate.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, obviously Jake Bricknell too. He was good when he played against us. So there's a lot of guys. I feel like obviously, I mean, I don't want to say anybody's overly shocked me, but I think there are a lot of good players around the league that have been surprising to me.
Mhm.
One key thing me and Charlie always talk about is how offensive our league is. There's a lot of points, there's a lot of goals. There's going to be mistakes because it's not one of the top sports in the country. Do
Mhm.
you quite like that? That is it's back and forth, but at the end of the day, anyone can beat anyone on the given day as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially, I mean, looking at most of the scores at the start, a lot of them were high scoring, except for
Yeah.
ours. I think our first game, even almost all our games so far have been nail biter games, either one goal or empty net goal, like 5-3 or 4-3. Um, so yeah, it's been all tight games for us so far, but it is definitely a back and forth league. You'll have, you think you're breaking out on a 4-on-2, and all of a sudden you have a 2-on-1 going back on you the other way. So it's yeah, it's high tempo back and forth kind of hockey, which I mean I like if I can keep kind of go north south is always good. So yeah, it's been good so far.
You're a young lad as well, so I'm sure it's pretty good for your age. Although Yanni could still keep up with it, so
Oh yeah. Sometimes I mean like Yanni so far, especially with us being short, there's been some games I think the one game me and him both played 31 minutes and I told him I said, "Oh, I'm pretty tired after the game." And he goes, "You're tired." I go, "Yeah, I know."
Have you have
He goes, "You're young. You're fine." I go, "Yeah, I know. I probably say that."
you
Go on,
mentioned
Charlie.
you came down here with your fiance. Has she or yourself got any places you want to visit in the UK?
So she came with me, but she works as a nurse back in Canada. So
Oh,
she
okay.
was here for about 2 weeks. We did, I mean, as much as we could do in 2 weeks at the start of the season. It was still preseason or just before preseason practicing. So I think we got to see Cambridge. We went to Cambridge for a day, just a day trip there, which was nice. We went to London for 2 days,
Nice.
which was also really nice as well.
Has the weather treated you all right? It's pretty rubbish at the moment.
Yeah, it's pouring outside right now, but other than last week, I think there was 6 days in a row I didn't see the sun. But other than that, I mean, it's been a lot better than I thought it would be. Days are kind of back and forth. Like, you wake up in the morning, the sun will be out, it'll rain for 2 hours, and then the sun's back out again. So it hasn't been horrible or anything like that.
We
And have
we
you
had
tried
oh, go on, Charlie.
any
Um,
English breakfast?
I've
Anything like
had
that?
English breakfast. That's about it. The thing I order a lot while I'm here is fish and chips. I love fish and chips at home as well. So,
That's what I was going to ask because we had the Raiders import Shaw Miller and it was his first time to England and
Mhm.
we mentioned the meal deals as well. Oh, you can get a meal deal for £3.50, which
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't get back in Canada. Oh, sorry, I'm lagging a bit, aren't
That-
I?
Yeah, we
That's okay. I heard the meal deal and then you cut out there kind of.
Yeah, you don't get the meal deals back in Canada.
No, the only thing I have found is like Canada and the States, obviously our large is a lot bigger than what your large is.
Yeah,
That's
our
the only,
large is your small, isn't it?
yeah.
Have you got any an NHL team you support and some players on that team you may like?
Unfortunately, the Leafs, it's
Oh,
Oh,
it's it's looking better this season.
break every year, unfortunately. Always
do you
seems to be the
base your
first
game
round
off
exit.
anyone from the league?
Um, I guess if you want to say Austin Matthews try to score as many goals I can.
So we're
I
expecting 70 from you this year.
oh, I don't know. I can try my best, but we'll see. My favorite player probably is Nathan McKinnon, though. That's kind of
Oh,
what obviously I
don't get
want.
him started.
Yeah, my first number I wanted when I came here was 39, but it was in Peterborough, so I wasn't able to get that. So obviously I wore 29 in France last year, and I figured I'd wear it here as well. But yeah,
Mhm.
Nathan McKinnon's kind of the game I try to model myself after. Obviously,
Beast.
kind of two-way uh, power forward that can score goals and kind of do it all. So
Well, 29 is a good number. My favorite's Leon Draisaitl, so
yeah,
that's
yeah,
a good
him
number
too.
to pick
Yeah.
there. Have you got any more to finish up, Charlie? My Wi-Fi keeps going in and
Yeah,
out a
as
bit.
the Wi-Fi's going, we'll quickly ask the question which we do, if that's all right, Jack.
Yeah, yeah.
We finish off the podcast with this question to every player. What is your message to the Phantoms fans?
Um, From me being here so far, I think they're in for a very exciting year. It's been, all nail biter games so far, kind of up and down. Obviously, you're not going to be able to win every game like you
Yeah.
want to, and there are going to be ups and downs throughout the season. But with the group of guys we haven't even played a regular season with our full lineup yet. So I think there's a lot
Yeah.
to come once guys get back from injuries, and I think it's going to be a super exciting year, not just for the players, but for the fans as well.
Nice
Perfect.
one. Yeah, you've still got Duncan and Jasper to come back as well, which is good.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Well, we will see you on Saturday. Don't want you scoring another hat trick on Saturday, so hopefully you're a bit tired from this weekend. But no, honestly, thank you for hopping on.
Yeah, of
And
course.
yeah, good luck for the rest of the season.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, mate. Should we crack into the weekend then? And it started off with the Romford Raiders. Brindley didn't play in this one, but they beat the Telford Tigers 7-4, Dan. They maintain their 100% record at home. They're just dominant, aren't they? They just score loads of goals. They made it a bit more comfortable this time. It wasn't a last minute comeback, I don't think. They got three power play goals. Again, they score a lot of goals though in that third period, don't they?
Yeah,
Three goals.
it's like obviously Swindon's second period. Romford love their third periods.
Yeah.
It's it it's getting like it's getting weird. Like obviously, I know they're so good in their own rink, but they're actually beating some really strong teams in that rink. Like obviously, they beat Hull, and the fact that they're getting these comebacks as well. I think this new identity for Romford is really big for this team, and I think the mindset that they've been given from obviously Lace from the new coach and the fact that they're all in it for each other, I think that's huge for them, and it's really showing with all these with the big wins and big comebacks as well for the crowd.
They're having a lot of different scorers. Shout out to Aidan Wilson. We said that he's got a fresh opportunity at Romford. All of the Romford players we spoke to, Sean Miller last weekend said that Aidan's a real talent. He got his goal against his former team, and you could see by the picture that the photographer got. He loved that one, didn't he, Dan? Charlie, a goal and an assist against his former team. He got man of the match as well. The talent's there, it is there, and it's just proof that when they get played in the right team and the right systems, they can thrive in it.
This is what I love about the National League, right? Is one team's player who didn't really fit in is another team's gem.
Mm.
And that is an example of what Aidan Wilson has been. He didn't fit in at Telford. He didn't get a point. I don't believe they're apart
Oh, you
from the
got one
goal
against Swindon
Swindon in the
in the
playoffs. Yeah,
playoffs.
but he didn't really do much to put it blunt in Telford. He's only 18 and he's gone to Romford, and I think it's taken him a couple of weeks, but he's found his feet and he got off the mark. And it's what I quite like about this Romford team is it ain't just the top guys.
Mm.
Their third line's chipping in, their fourth line's chipping in when they got the Slough boys there, and they're making an impact. And I don't think any team wants to play them in their rink. I think you look at a lot of matchups and you're thinking, I'd like to see MK play them in there. I'd like to see Leeds play them in there. It's going to be some fun games of hockey. And it's great for the National League because we're having players like Aidan Wilson, Joe Tomlin, TJ, Pascal, even the Moore brothers when they come up.
Nixon as well.
They're breaking out. They're having fun. They're enjoying it there. And so Romford seems like the place to be in the National League at the moment.
Yeah, Seb Moore, another 2 points. He got a goal as well. The last thing I'll mention on this game, Romford just score goals in bunches. Like the last two goals they scored, 55-22 power play goal, 55-56 another goal. And you cannot switch off against Romford because as you said, Charlie, they will just forecheck you and force you into mistakes if you don't wake up. Like they score a lot of goals in bunches. You've seen it against Swindon. You saw it against Hull. They score very quick succession, and it is momentum. Like the momentum they get in that rink is crazy, and they're getting a bit more fans as well. The attendance is slowly creeping up, which is good, and that's obviously because they're getting good results as well. So a big win for Romford. Who's going to be the first team to beat him in Romford? We'll have to see. On to our game then. The Swindon Wildcats against the Steel Dogs. Now, the Steel Dogs won 3-1. It was a very good away performance from them. I know we were missing Aaron and Aaron Nell and Thomas Malazinski, but we still put in a really strong performance, Dan. Everyone gave it everything. Obviously, it was our only game of the weekend. We had 37 shots on the night. We hit the bar, I think, 4 times. It was a bit unlucky, but you do then have to give you credit to Sheffield as well for defending well for defending the rest of the game out and taking their chances when they did.
Yeah, I said on the night, like, because obviously you got two big guys out, and you needed them more depthy guys to sort of show up. You know what I mean? Like, you needed those guys to show, like, they needed to have a step up. Pretty much every line needed to have a step up from what they normally are, and I think we saw that. I think Josh Shaw, I think he had a really good game.
Got the
I think
assist.
he really stepped it up. Yeah, really, really nice assist actually. Over to Godfrey. But yeah, I think Swindon can be happy with that because they didn't get rolled over, they didn't give up, and I think every player sort of bought in that they knew what was going on with having those two players out, and I think it can get quite tough because there are going to be players playing out of their comfort zones.
Yeah.
But I think everyone there was sort of all in it for each other again, and I think that's really positive for Swindon.
Walker Sommer, Charlie. He is definitely one of the best imports in this league. He is nasty.
Hey,
That first goal just sniped it across Rennie. We dominate literally the whole of the second period. The possession, I know we talk about possession in football, but possession in hockey in their zone, we must have had double, maybe triple the minutes in their zone as they had to ours. We dominate for the whole second period. They go up the other end, Banks, Walker Sommer one-on-one. He's so clinical.
Yeah, yeah. We had Nordstrom and Charlie Thompson stood
Yeah,
with us watching the game. Great guys. Really fun guys to watch the game with. And Nordstrom said to me at the start of the game, he went, Walker Sommer don't miss. So he's not got like the hardest shot, but he just doesn't miss. He's really clinical at our level, and he was probably him and Norton were the two standouts
yeah.
for Steel Dogs. Him, Norton, and I think Cooper. I think Cooper was
Cooper
really
was
good
good,
as
yeah, on
well.
top line, yeah.
But yeah, just a really good performance from Sommer. Really good away kind of smash and grab. Your import bags your 2 goals sort of performance. What you want from him, really, is what you pay the money for. And I thought Sheffield put on what they needed to do. I think there's elements to their game. I thought they could have dominated us a bit more.
Yeah.
Credit to Swindon, but also I thought, considering we were missing Now and Malas, I thought they could have dominated us a bit more, but they got the 2 points, and that's all they really care about. Um, but yeah, they put on a good performance, Sheffield. I'm really happy with Swindon. I think I'll say this happily. This is the team I enjoy watching the most since we've come back to the National League. I love this team. It's so exciting. I love the decor of this team. Brian Wells is him. I love him. He's my favorite D man I've ever watched. And Ed Bradley is great as well. And yeah, I was really happy with how we performed, and I just thought we weren't clinical on the night, but also Ben Norton was hot. I think he saved 36 out of 37 shots.
Yeah. Sheffield only had 23 shots. Like we did dominate a lot, but we just couldn't finish chances. It is one of them games where you go, if we had Malas and Nell, we probably do win that game because those guys can put the puck in the net and they are very clinical. But it's all ifs and buts, and fair play to Sheffield. That's a big cup win as well, which is a bummer for Swindon. But I thought we played well. There's a lot of positives to take into next weekend, and obviously we get Tom Ash back next weekend as well, which is huge. And we'll have to see on Nelly. So yeah, the Steel Dogs get a big away win. Then the biggest shock of the weekend, the Berkshire Bees, Dan, 2-1 against the Leeds Knights. And I'm just gonna say this because the stats have updated, Charlie. Max Wright, 49 out of 50 shots he saved. 40, he had a 98 save percentage against Leeds. And we always say you get shots on goal, but you get Leeds night shots on goal. And he saved 49 out of 50. That is some performance from the Bees. I don't think anyone saw that coming.
No, I think Wright is really hotting up. He's really showing what he can do, and we've all said it. He's the sort of guy that everyone sort of out of the three import goalies, you never really sort of looked at Wright. You're always looking at Napier and Leving,
Yeah.
but he's sort of gone under the radar, and he I would say he's the best out of the three.
Yeah, he's been the
And
best out of the three for sure.
the thing is, in the Bees team, having a goalie like that is perfect because, like in Leeds against Leeds, he played big and they won the game. And I think with any other goalie, they might have found it a bit more tough. You know what I mean? Like when he's hot, he's on it. And I think I've always said this, but Morris also put on his Instagram. He said, "You don't need the best players in a team. You just need the best group." And it's pretty amazing what a team can do when they all buy into one system.
Yeah.
And I think that's also down to the coaching as well. I think bringing in Tate, I think obviously goodbye carrying on. I think just having that behind that group of players and showing that they're hungry, I think is perfect. And yeah, this brings the best out of everyone in that team, and that's a massive win. That's probably hopefully going to spur them on for games to come.
Yeah, Moggy with the not overtime winner, the game winning goal as well. With 5 minutes to go, that was just a dagger. That must have been a dagger for Leeds. But it sounds like Gospel did have a good game as well.
We had a
Um,
9-3-7-5
yeah,
that
but the Bees had 32 shots. It's not like they just sat back. They probably had more chances than the Sheffield did against us. And we've always said Bees in their rink, they could beat anyone, and they proved that. I think they've beaten they've beaten Leeds in their rink. They've beaten every single team in their rink the last couple seasons,
one.
and I believe that is the first loss Leeds have had in regulation against Leeds since I think 2022. That could be wrong, but we mentioned before the season Leeds won 68 out of 70 games against teams from 6th to 11th. Well, that is now they've lost another one. So fair play to the Bees.
Yeah, 2 points.
And it was a shock, but the Knights were due to lose at some point, weren't they, Charlie?
The 2 points I wanted to make. Shout out to Joshua Poole. Not many people would have heard of him. He is 16 years old. He's on a two-way with the Cardiff Canucks, and he got a point on the first goal.
Yeah.
Just to show you, I think me and Dan said it. I'd call it the Ashley Tate effect. He gets the best out of youngsters. He really does, and I think you see that in the Bees team this year with Ollie Hemmings-Mayer, Joshua Poole, William Birch. These types of players, Adam Esgrine have come in. But also, a point I wanted to make, because I know it was a controversial thing at the start of the year, import goalies. Bees don't win that game with a Brit in net. Yeah. And I'm not saying this in a rude way. It's nothing against Brits. But the reason I think import goalies make this league another level of exciting is because Bees are able to have Max Wright in their net. It means that a game against Leeds, if he stands on his head, he can help Bees. And to be fair, put the team on his back and win them a game. And that is the value of an import netminder. And it meant that players, like all the young Brits for Bees, were able to compete and play against a team like Leeds and win. And so I think it is proven why import netminders have made this league more competitive, because he's made them 49 saves out of 50 shots. And that's made this game more competitive because he kept them in it. And they still had to score the 2 goals. They still had to get them 2 goals, and they did it in the third. So, shout out to Max Wright. And I think the import netties have made this league better and more entertaining.
Yeah, Marcus Mitchell as well, getting a primary assist on the goodbye goal, Dan. Agent Stoke boy. But yeah, it's a huge win. The upset of the weekend, and Bees just seem to pull out these upsets, and fair play to him. I just don't think people give him enough credit, and they're going to be going for that playoff spot again. We've said it after that game. They're going to be going for that playoff spot. Bristol Pitbulls and the Peterborough Phantoms, and it's a much improved performance from the Pitbulls. I know they've still conceded a lot of goals, but they were actually competitive in this home game, Dan, and they just seem to be improving game by game, getting it game by game. I know Peterborough without Luke Ferrara, but we saw what they did against Milton Keynes on the Sunday. So the fact that the Pitbulls got a point out of Peterborough, I think that's very good. Nick Price, he seems to be hotting up. 2 goals, 2 assists. We had question marks about him, but he has seemed to be like he's putting up the points now for Bristol, which is what they need their import to do. So fair play to him, Dan.
Yeah, I think the whole team, like you said, I think they've really obviously Barry's not going to be happy. You can tell it from his interviews and stuff, and I think they've really seen now, like they just need to. Everyone needs to step up. Everyone needs to step up as a team. Everyone needs to put in their shift. And Nick Price is probably looking at himself like, I'm the import here. Like they're paying me good money here, and I need to be showing up. Like I need to be getting these goals. These big goals are meant to be from me. Like everyone's going to be looking at me, and I think he's definitely seen that now. And obviously, he's a new guy to the league. He probably is going to take a few games to get into it, so that might have been a factor as well. But I think getting Nick Price hot, you've got players like Harewood alongside him. You've got people like Morris that can grind out the game. You've got all these players, and I think if we've said it before with Bristol, if you can get all of those players working well, I think they're fine. Like they showed it. They had that comeback, like they got it into overtime because they had that last 5 minute goal and really pushed the team on. And I mean, there was a bit of a sort of disagreement with the goal in overtime. They got one disallowed. I was
going to mention that. Yeah,
I don't think it went in.
So we basically. Before we go on to that, the Phantoms are actually 5-3 up. They got a 5-minute power play, and Bristol killed off that 5-minute power play. They must have got a lot of momentum from that because they went and scored 2 goals in a minute. So that got them level to 5-5, and it took them to overtime. Now, the overtime goal, it went. Well, it got given as a goal and then it got washed off. It was Whitesay on the backhand. There's a photographer put out the pitch she put, and it looks like it hit the post and it didn't go in, Charlie. It like hit the inside of the post and come back out again. So I'd have to see it on video, but Yeah, you'd be frustrated if you're a Bristol fan.
They were saying in real time apparently. Obviously, I don't think you saw it in those pictures, but apparently it came off the post and then off the goalie. Apparently,
Ah.
but obviously you can't tell from those pictures because they sort of ended as soon as they hit the post. But
Yeah,
apparently that's what I've heard anyway.
I'd like to see a video of it, but as we've all said, we'd love overtime to go on a bit longer. But the Peterborough Phantoms do pick up 2 points. Yes, they might not be completely happy with the performance, but they pick up 2 points. Salem, he gets 3 assists, a goal, and the shootout winner as well. He's really stepping up. He was the best player against Swindon as well. So yeah, the big players are stepping up for Peterborough, getting those points. And we'll talk about another one of those players when we go on to the games in Sunday. But I think that is a big point for Bristol. They're definitely competing a lot more, which is what their fans will want to see. I saw a lot of positivity from Bristol fans. The last game on Saturday, and it was probably their best performance of the season. The Milton Keynes Lightning 8-3 winners against the Hull Seahawks. The Seahawks' first regulation loss of the season. And this is what MK can do, Charlie, when they're rolling at home. A lot of different goal scorers. You had Malik on the score sheet, Cowney, Gulliver, Rutkiss, Venus, all those top players. And when it clicks, you cannot stop them.
MK are very good at home. we know this. Like they are just a very good home team. And credit to them, they've built that place into a fortress. And to be honest, I think Hull would have been going there thinking, "Oh, we're gonna into an upset here," and then Milton Keynes went, "No, you're not," and they took the win. And I think it was a big win for Milton Keynes mentality wise.
Yeah.
I don't think too many people have been happy with the way the season started. I've seen a lot of Milton Keynes fans online saying we haven't played the best hockey. We've still won, which is the most important part. But
Yeah.
they were like, we haven't quite played our best. And I think we probably saw Milton Keynes take down a very, very strong team quite comfortably. And yeah, depth scoring. I think they got County on a third line. Sounds like the elite league. It's a bit mental. Like,
He got
but
shout out to him. He got 4 points. It was probably his best game as well, and his goal was nasty. I've
Really nice
seen
goal.
it. Toe dragged, completely sent the defender. Top
yeah,
bins, like fair play.
and so that they had a good performance there. And yeah, one interesting thing about MK just to point out is they seem to be playing NHL goalie. They seem to be doing a different goal each night. They seem to be playing one. It's like a 1A. One
Yeah, it
plays
was it
one
was
night, the
Jordan
one plays the
Headley.
next
It
night.
was Jordan Headley against Hull. Did they have
And then
curling
it was
against
Curling against Peterborough.
Peterborough?
So
So
yeah, Hull and MK are the two teams in the league who rotate the goalie pretty
yeah,
much every game, which is really interesting. It'd be interesting to see in 3-4 months' time when goalies are getting a bit tired. Well, maybe they're not, maybe they are. Maybe they got a couple injuries or whatever. It'd be interesting to see if it does pay off in them teams' favour. I don't know
yeah.
whether it will or not, but that's always an interesting one. But yeah,
It would,
huge for MK.
it would also be interesting when it comes to like playoff time. Do you reckon they'll
And the
just go with the
cups.
hot goalie coming into
Who's
the
yeah,
playoffs,
yeah,
or do you think they'll still switch it around? Because I don't
yeah.
think switching it around in playoffs is a good idea, personally.
Yeah, it's like I know it's NHL comparisons, but it's like with Swayman and Allmark, they both played similar amount in regular season, but when it got to playoffs, Swayman was the hot goalie, so you choose him. But yeah, big win for Milton Keynes. I know it's mentioned a lot, but 2,272 fans. That is very good for our league. You cannot knock their fan base. I know a lot of people don't like them, but fair play to them. We were at Guildford yesterday. I think they had about 1.9, so just shows how strong the fan base is at MK. The Sunday then and the early game, the Steel Dogs against the Bees. The Bees were in it, but they probably gave it so much last night. And as the game went on, Dan, Sheffield just got rolling, and Walker Song, man, a hat trick, 5 goals on the weekend. We did give our player of the week to Cam Hough, which we'll talk about. But Walker Sommer could have easily got it as well, Dan. A hat trick. He got some assists as well in there. It's a very big 4 point weekend for Sheffield, and it shows when they are on it with those 3 lines, they're going to be picking up a lot of points this season.
Yeah, they're another team that's like a big personality team. When they're rolling, like they're really hard to stop, and they're another team. Like we said about Hull, we said if they start scoring, they're pretty hard to stop,
Yeah,
and they love a bit of momentum. They obviously haven't got the crowd for it, but I think within the team, they motivate each other,
Yeah.
and I think everyone seems to be loving their hockey there. I think they're loving how they're being treated in Sheffield. I think they're loving how they're being treated like a real professional. I think everyone's loving that. I think obviously Sommer's loving his hockey. Tremblay's loving his hockey. He's feeling confident in himself. Obviously, I know Charlie don't like it, but scoring the Michigan, like you're gonna feel confident if you're gonna do that. You know what I mean? But I think, yeah, I think as a team, I just think they're just gonna keep rolling and just keep going.
Yeah, it's a big 4 point weekend to take two off Swindon, and then beat Bees, who have caused some upsets. They beat Telford last week. They beat Leeds this week, and Bees did actually go 1-0 and 2-1 up. So Sheffield did come back into that game. But as for the Bees, 2 points out this weekend, they would have taken that against Leeds as well. Like fair play.
They're
And
starting on them.
yeah,
We
they
didn't have
didn't have
Max
Max
Friday.
right on the Sunday, so he probably had a rest from the 50 shots he had on the
He
Saturday.
makes 49 saves on the Sunday. They win.
um, the Leeds Knights did get an important home win. They did do it the hard way. The Solway Sharks, it was their only game of the weekend. They were 4-3 up, but the Knights, two late goals from Matt Hayward, the veteran, and the Knights did win 5-4, which is a big win for them because they could have gone from last night. Heads could have been down, but that's not how the Knights play, is it, Dan? They just keep rolling. They go back in it. They've got the players. They've got the personalities to step back up, and they did get an important 2 points. It doesn't matter too much how you get them. It's just about getting those 2 points.
Yeah, and obviously in that team as well, they're all athletes, they're all professional. Like
Yeah.
they'd finish that Bees game, they'd be like, "Don't worry, lads, this happened. Like, just leave that behind us and just go into the next game like nothing happened." You know what I mean? I know it's easy to say it like that, but that's what Aldridge would have wanted for his team, and I'm sure Kieran Brown would have been saying that to them as well. I think the fact that it was still a close game in Bees as well, and they would have been looking at like if they had a different goalie in net, it would have been different. So they just had to go into that Leeds game, and they just said, right, let's just make sure we get the win tonight, and obviously they did, and sort of it's almost like that Bees game didn't happen now.
Yeah. I wanted to shout out one person. I'm just getting him up now. Edgars Vengis. I've probably butchered that. He iced for the Knights on the Sunday. Don't know how much ice time he got, but just 16 years old. He's come through the ranks. So yeah, fair play to him. Getting his opportunity as well. And yeah, I'm sure he battled hard to playing in that Knights first team, back to back league champs. So fair play to the Knights, 5-4, big 2 points. I wouldn't be too disappointed for Solway. It's very difficult to get points in Leeds. They'll just be looking next week when they have two games to try and get some points. And then the big one, and we got a bit of backlash on Twitter. I don't know why we got backlash, but we can talk about it. The
Oh,
Peterborough
yeah.
Phantoms,
Yeah.
4-3 against the Milton Keynes Lighting, the derby. They were the underdogs. I don't care what Milton Keynes fans say. They were the underdogs. They're missing their captain, Luke Ferrara. They were missing Jasper Foster. They were missing Billy Thorpe. They were missing Spears. And they still beat the Lightning 4-3. Now, the Lightning did have Dylan Lawrence out, and that is one of your imports, fair play. And they did have Griffin, but we know Milton Keynes have the depth to cover that. And Charlie, it is a shock. Like, we didn't really expect Peterborough to win that game, but Slava just, he gets it done in those games and coaches those players, doesn't he?
I love Slava. I love him.
You
I
know you
actually
do,
love him.
Charlie.
That is the thing, right? Like, Peterborough, they win games like this, and I don't know how. Like, they lost their goat in Ferrara. He's sick. We watched him against Swindon. He was one of the main reasons that game against us got turned around. He's so good, and 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 they find a way. They get players clicking who maybe aren't prolific players. Who were the scorers? Who got the assists in that game?
Cam
I bet
Cam Hough got a hat trick. Lackinen scored, but the assist they had Mackenzie coming in. Obviously, they had Barron, Norton, Salem. Those big players stepping up.
yeah, and they get the best out of players, and I like seeing a win like that. And obviously, people know I'm not MK's biggest fan. I like seeing MK lose, but that's that. But I think it was an even game. They were missing Lawrence, which of course is big, missing Griffin, which of course is big. There's no denying that. And I do understand where MK fans are coming from when they say, we were missing some big pieces. But at the same time, Peterborough were missing their big pieces. They're missing Billy Thorpe. They were missing Luke Ferrara. They're missing Duncan Spears. They're missing Jasper Foster. So both teams had big pieces of their team missing, and it was who's going to fight it out the most? Who's going to take it? Who's going to dog this game out? And obviously, Peterborough had a lot on their heart. It was an important game for them. It was the first game they've had since Duncan Spears got injured. And fair play to Venus. He answered the bell in the first 2 minutes against Graham. And I got a lot of respect for that. And he took the fight. And sounds like there wasn't too much which went on after that, which is fair play to Peterborough. They didn't carry it on. And then the game played, and it sounded like a great game. I wish I'd have gone. It sounded like a great game of hockey. But yeah, I don't think it's the end of world for MK. I think they won in Bees, which was a big away win. And I think as long as they win their next couple of away games, it's all right. But for Peterborough to get a 4-point weekend without Luke Ferrara is phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, that is so good. Dan, we were talking about it. I know we've had chats about it, and we saw straight away on Twitter, even though the Wi-Fi was terrible at Guildford, that Venus had dropped the gloves in the first 2 minutes, and we were like, fair play, because it could get really ugly if a player doesn't drop the gloves and answers the bell straight away. And we know we've seen it on Twitter, we've seen it on whatever. There was a bit of argy-bargy between the fans saying, is it going to happen? There was a bit of build up to it, and he did it. And fair play. And as fans, we can speak about it. And as Charlie said, it would have been still feisty in the game, but it stops it being dirty. And I think that's a big reason why fighting should be allowed, because it just gets out of the way then, isn't it?
Yeah, literally, I was gonna say the exact same thing. Venus has been around the game enough. Like he knows what he did, and he knows he's gonna go into that game, and everyone's gonna be looking at him. The players are gonna be looking at him, and we knew it was gonna happen. Like everyone said all this stuff, but Venus is the professional, and he would have gone into that game. It would have probably been already arranged before the game started. Like he would have gone over to him. Obviously, I didn't see the game, but Graham would have gone over to him. He's like, right, come on, let's just do it now. And I think, like you said, fighting should definitely be allowed in hockey. Like the way that they fought, and then after that, no more. Obviously, there would have been a few hits thrown,
There's
but
another
that's
fight,
hockey.
but it wasn't any cheap shots, no cheap shot,
Like
dirty plays.
cheap shots are the worst bit about hockey. Like having cheap shots, there's no need for it. I'd much rather see just a perfect fight in centre ice, just to sort everything out, and then that's it. That's done now. Like you don't have to carry it on to games. You don't have to keep going. It's done now. Like it's the best way to fix anything in hockey is just to fight it out. And if you take fighting out of hockey, that could get ugly. That game, like the stuff that could happen to Venus in that game, the stuff could happen to Peterborough in that game. It would be ugly, and it just wouldn't be good for the sport in itself either. So,
and don't get me wrong,
the best way to sort it out was that way.
Don't get me wrong, Venus shouldn't have done what he did last season. That was a bit taking it out on someone. He shouldn't have done that, and he's paid the price for that. And I'm sure he's learned from that as well, not to do anything like that, because Spears was out for a long time, and you do feel bad for him. But again, the only way he's answered to that is answering the bell. So fair play to him. We had to mention it.
I still think MK's weekend was successful. I think they got the 2 points they needed to in against Hull, and they had I think that's a big momentum win against Hull. 8-3 is no mess about.
They were the team who lost to him last season.
I'm not looking forward to going there in like 3 weeks. Bring on the Jip MK fans. I'm sure I'll get slated. I'll probably deserve it. But they're a very good home team. I think they'll probably be a little disappointed they didn't get the 2 points in Peterborough. But another thing which I'll add is they are second in the league, but they got a game in hand on Leeds, which if they win, I think they go top, I believe.
Yeah, teams around them have lost, so it's not the end of the world.
They didn't lose any points to Leeds, which are the title rivals this year. But right now, everyone's in the mix. And so this loss, don't get me wrong, it's frustrating. Of course, you want to win every game, but they are well in that title mix and they're not getting dragged away from the race. So for them, from their fans' perspective, I think they're well in the mix. They're well in the race. And I think the title race this year is going to be very entertaining.
I think for the rest of the league as well, if you're not a Leeds fan, you're like, okay, Leeds have been beaten now. They've been beaten by a couple teams at the start. So I think it just shows the league's got better. These import goalies, as you said, Charlie, you bring them in, it creates more competition. So yeah, I think it's been a positive. This game is the rematch, and the whole Seahawks beat the Romford Raiders 5-2, and I think that's a big win for them. Obviously, Matty Davies before the weekend, he said that Hull are going to show him what real fans are like. And we like that little bit of rivalry. We said that on the last episode. And it's a big win after losing 8-3 the night before to go and beat Romford, who are kind of rolling at the moment, Dan.
Yeah, that's it. And I think, yeah, I think creating these rivalries is fun. I think it's really good, like for the league. I think having these rivalries back, like you said yesterday, getting a bit of spice in the league. I think it brings fans through. Like it brings fans through the door. That's what they want to see. They want to see these players sort of having these little, like even like these players, like these players having their own little rivalries with other players. I just think it's fun and having. Yeah, I think Hull are obviously they're really good at home as well, and I think Romford going into that game, they'd have been like, right, so we've obviously beat them in our rink, and now we've created this little rivalry going. Like, imagine if we go into Hull and we beat them in Hull as well, and I think that's just like it's just a really good momentum boost for the team as well. And I think I can't remember what was the score in the whole. What was the score?
Five
Five
two,
three,
5-2
five
in the
two.
end,
So
yeah.
it's not even like a big scoreline, and we know what Hull can do when they're scoring. Like they are really hard to stop. So the fact that they kept them to within 3 goals, I think, is really good for Raiders as well, especially in Hull.
Again, I think Romford from this weekend, yes, you love 4 points, that's the aim, but 2 points from this weekend, they won't be too disappointed with that. They keep their home record up as well. The only thing with that one is this was the cup game, I believe, not the one last weekend. So maybe they'll be a bit annoyed that this one is. We've already talked about the layout, how the first 10 games aren't cup games, but I think it's to do with getting those 5 home and 5 away games for every team. So it does drag on a bit. But I think that was Hull's second cup game. But
Something
yeah,
like the cup.
it is a big win for Hull, and they needed that. If they'd have lost to Romford, they would have dropped behind again, another 2 points. But as Charlie said, it is so tight between first to sixth. Or first to seventh, I think, is separated by 3 points, but we'll go into that in a sec. So, yeah, it's a big win for Hull, and it keeps them thereabouts. If they'd have lost that one, though, Dan, it would have been the Romford fans have not shut up about that one. But Andy kind of got his payback, mouthing off the Romford fans on Twitter.
That's what I mean. Rivalries are fun. Like they just bring fun to the
As
sport.
long as
And
they're not too toxic, because what
Um,
we don't like is toxic, just abuse and all of that. But when you
yeah,
know it is banter and bit funny and taking the mick
well,
kind of
I,
thing,
I love going to MK, and I love it when I get jip back and people are like, we won today. Someone comments
yeah,
that on
we'll
the podcast,
take
something
it,
like that.
mate.
I enjoy that, but then when we win there, I love it because it's good fun. So rivalries are what makes it fun, and I do find that, like, for example, I think Dan will know this. I miss Swindon having a bit more rivalry. Like Swindon used to, I'd say our biggest rivals were Basingstoke when we
Yeah.
used to play them, and we
what a
used to
team.
really used to go after Basingstoke. And it was the one game where I used to see Swindon get rattled quite a lot. It was like a proper, like, it felt like a mini derby versus Basingstoke. And like since that's gone, we've had a bit with Milton Keynes, a bit with Leeds, we've had a bit with Bristol, but they're not great. So it's difficult because I miss the rivalry. So it's like rivalries are great, and hopefully Swindon
You say
annoys them.
that they're not great. They always find ways to beat us though, and that's the beauty of the National League. So we can do all this chirping, but they still find ways to beat us, even though they're not doing as good as they'd hope to be. The final game is Telford versus Bristol, and Telford finally get their first win of the season. We said, Dan, they needed to win. If they lost this game, then flipping heck, I think some big decisions were going to be made. I still think there's some big decisions to make, and some stuff which fans might not expect. But that is a big win. I think it has been coming. Again, they've been scoring goals. We've said this. They've been scoring goals. That's not been a problem of theirs. It's about conceding a lot less goals. And they got the win, and that's a big win as well.
Yeah, it's and yeah, it's obviously no offense to Bristol, but their firepower obviously it would have been easier for Telford that game because sort of they've got a few less big guys, to sort of get out of the game. Like they'd have gone into that game sort of you know which guy to sort of look out for in Bristol. And obviously, I didn't watch the game, but it'll be a massive boost for Telford. Like, well, I think we said it quite a lot in this episode, but it's a big boost for Telford. And their fans, they needed that win. They were getting a bit annoyed. You could sort of see on social media. But I don't blame them either. Like, it would be annoying not getting a single win since the season started. Like, not even a single point. Um, but yeah, I mean they've got that now. It's like we said it last week. They needed to get over that hump, and now they've got over that hump. Hopefully they can just build on it and sort of keep going, keep getting those sort of wins, grind out a few games, maybe stop it from going in their own net a bit more, and just sort of building from that.
Yeah, that's the thing. They just need to try, and they've been so good at that over the years of kind of dogging out games. And they've had a lot of new faces, new imports, a few new Brits as well, a lot of new line combinations. They have been short in D. They're missing Dan Rose. Obviously Adams left as well this season as well. So they have had some changes, and no Hazeldine as well. I think that was a big one which we mentioned. So they've had a lot of changes, but I think yeah, now it's time to push on. They've got that win, and they just need to keep on scoring because I think some of the forwards, like Skileski, are starting to heat up a bit as well. It's not like they haven't been getting points. So, yeah, it's a big win for Telford. But again, Bristol, bit disappointing. They could have got something from that game with a struggling Telford, but they get a point out of the weekend. They've just got to try and now get some points at home. Just keep trying to battle at home and make it try and make that a fortress where teams can't come and go. Yeah, we're going to get points there tonight. So yeah, that rounds up all of the 10 games. As I said, I was going to mention the standings because it is very tight. Leeds are at the top. They've played the most games with 8. They are on 12 points. But as you said, Charlie,
Sorry.
Milton Keynes and the whole Seahawks can go level or above them with the game in hand they've got, but all the way
Sheffield
down to
could get there as
seventh
well.
with Sheffield. They've only played 6 games. They're on 9 points. So if they win both of those games in hand, they're straight back up there as well into first place. So it's all to play for. The playoff spots as well, they're looking quite juicy. Obviously, only 8 teams can go in there. Solway and the Bees are both on 5 points. So I think that battle for that eighth playoff spot is going to be so tight. But yeah, that's the beauty of the National League. We've seen a few shocks this weekend. Do you have anything else to add?
I think there's a good battle bulging at the bottom between the bottom four, which
Yeah,
we predicted at the start of the year. Maybe not predicted Telford to be in that battle. Maybe Romford was potentially some people's predictions in that battle, but it seems like Telford are the team in that battle. Solway, Telford, Bees, and Bristol are in a massive dogfight for that last playoff spot. That's what's quite exciting is now Telford have got off the board, and we know Telford were going to get off the board at some point. That last playoff spot, all 4 teams want that, and
yeah,
3 teams are going to miss out and be upset at the end of the year. So going to be interesting. And then yeah, I think I saw MK have a pretty good weekend to come. Swindon only got 1 game. I think Sheffield are going under the radar. That Bristol loss probably put them under the radar. This league's good, man. This league's good. We've got 7 teams in the title race and 4 teams in the playoff battle.
yeah.
You can't moan about that. 6, 7, 8 games in.
I've just realised I've forgotten to say on the live on this podcast that we've got Cam Hough on or Cam Hugh, and we can finally ask him how to pronounce his name. But yeah, he's on the podcast. I forgot to intro that, but I probably would have cut it in after the news. And yeah, he had a fantastic weekend. So thank you, Cam, for coming on. We're interviewing him tomorrow, on Tuesday. So yeah, he's hopping on, and we hope you've enjoyed that interview. Charlie as well. Do you want to just quickly mention you're not going to be here next week or
Oh
maybe for
yes.
the next 2 weeks?
So I won't be here next week. I'll probably be here. I don't know. No, I won't be here next week or the week after.
Yeah.
For the podcast, I'll miss
You could
2.
get Big Ian on the podcast, Dan, with us.
He's there anyway. Like I don't
Yeah.
know why we haven't got him now, to be honest.
I think
But yeah,
MK fans will be glad to see you go for 2 weeks, Charlie.
oh, it's great, mate. You can have a rest from me, guys. I know the podcast won't be quite as exciting, but Yeah, I'm going to Japan. That is an exclusive, which I haven't actually told my people yet. But I'm doing traveling. I'm going to be vlogging. If you want to check it out, it's Macca Explores, Macca Explores, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And I'm going to be growing a vlogging channel. I'm going to have some fun in Japan, speaking to some locals, etc. It's going to be exciting. I don't think I'll be watching any Japanese ice hockey because I don't know if it exists too much out there. If it does, I'm going to have a look and see
No,
if
they
on a
probably
Saturday
do have some ice hockey. They got a decent little team.
I'll have a look on the Saturday and see if I can go. But yeah, should be exciting. But it does mean I missed the pod for 2 weeks. But when I come back,
Sweet.
if Swindon aren't top of the league, I'll be a bit disappointed.
I think when you come back, we've got MK away, so you're right
Yeah,
back ready for the
our
big boy
first game
game.
back is Milton Keynes away. We got Milton Keynes away, and then someone at home on the Sunday. I can't remember who it is now.
I
But
think, yeah, I
I
think
only
it's
missed one
Bristol.
game of hockey. Only one Swindon game I missed. But yeah, it's an exciting new adventure in my life. But yeah, hopefully the pod goes well and isn't too boring without me.
Yeah, and we're gonna go somewhere on Sunday, Dan, but we're not gonna spoil where we're going yet. So
Yeah.
Swindon
I don't
don't
think
have a
anyone
game.
guessed it, by the way, in the guessing thing. I don't think anyone got it right. So
The only person who
apart from
guessed it
probably
was the
Gavin.
guy I told, so he cheated. But yeah, we're gonna try and get.
And the guy that we saw at the game.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, we hope you've enjoyed this episode. We hope you enjoyed the interview. And we'll catch you in next week's episode after week 5 of the National League. But yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Bye bye.